Yesterday, IGN released a 10-minute video showcasing the beautiful world that we will encounter in Star Rupture. And with it being one of the next upcoming factory games, with a liberal sprinkling of wave defense, I thought we should talk about what we see and whether it's something to get excited for later this year when it releases to early access this autumn. And I think originally they mentioned September, but I could be mistaken there. Now at first we can see a variety of biomes in this crafted world, so this isn't procedurally generated, so you can expect a similar experience to Satisfactory in that regard. By the looks of it, different biomes have different resources, and I love the design of these wind-swept trees, and I believe a lot of the scenery that we can see here is actually inspired by their own trip to Iceland, if I remember a previous dev post. Now the world will be filled with abandoned structures to explore in a very harsh world, and I'm really curious as to how exploration will work in this game. Presumably it's going to be tied to the story, and I hope if so that it's similar to Subnautica, probably the best game when it comes to exploring in my mind. And we'll be hopefully exploring these abandoned structures and piecing together the mystery of Arcadia. Now some of these structures look more like the buildables that we see in the game and can build in the game, which suggests that this might be damage to an outpost after the star Arcadia orbits around, ruptures, scorching the planet's outer crust, versus the fresh, lush green grass that we see here. That being said, they could just be set assets for us to explore. And I am really liking the overall graphic design. Now some of the resources seem to be manually collected, as we'll see later on, but there's also automation as well. After all, it is a factory game. Here we have what looks like a sulfur node, which I'm guessing we'll be able to place an extractor on, similar to here where we have the salt node. What's interesting though when it comes to building is that in some areas they seem to have these nodes that act like a single placeable extractor can be put on it, whereas others allow us to freely place the extractors on them, like these, I'm going to call it graphite, but the hexagonal rock pieces here. Personally, I'm not too keen on how they drag and connect the conveyors together, as this will spell a lot of spaghetti in our factories, but it does look like if we put a little bit of effort into it, then we can organize our buses, which you will see later on. Now the factory buildables look incredible. I'm loving the future industrial sci-fi vibes that they're showing off here. And the base building does seem to be very similar to Subnautica, allowing us to build onto modules for a custom designed base. There seem to be a large selection of buildables for us as well. On top of the extractors, we have some kind of 3D hologram printers, the smelters, foundries, what looks like a solar power farm, as well as I presume a wind farm. And by the looks of it, the power seems to run through powered foundations. But I'm not sure how it works in regards to these extractors, as they seem to not be connected to anything, unless it's through the conveyors, thinking about it, or when it comes to our outposts as well. Do we need to individually power them, or can we somehow connect them via cables, for example? By the looks of it, we can send resources to space, and looking at the double helix, I believe this might be a science-based research system allowing us to unlock new tiers later on. We then have combat. There are a couple of interesting points here in the very first shot, which is the difference in weapons used. There's a shotgun, a rifle. There's also the front character who has a mask on, suggesting character customization or some kind of armor. And of course, we will have access to automated turrets as we face a varied selection of enemies, and there's many that we can see here. Ones that are spitting, the base ones that just stab you, the exploding ones, armored ones. It looks like there's a good amount of variance, so that the combat isn't going to get boring. Now, from the first reveal trailer that we saw and talked about previously, and there's more information in that one, so I will put a link to that video in the description below now, in case you're interested in watching it, and at the end of the video. But it does look like they've greatly improved the combat. And though I'm not a massive shooter fanatic, it is something that I can get behind in a game. Though I do hope that for players who just want to enjoy the story and build factories, that there is some kind of peaceful game option available, as I know a lot of the players in Satisfactory prefer that. When it comes to combat, we can also see that there is a shield available for players to use, but it remains to be seen whether this is an unlock or available from the get-go. But judging by the different coloured shields, it does suggest that it is tech dependent in some fashion. One thing that makes a game like this with Starship Trooper style insects really stand out is multiplayer, being able to stand side by side with your fellow players against the bug threat. And by the looks of it, it's going to be co-op with up to 4 players, and this particular area seems very scorched, so I presume it's either just after a rupture or at the start of the game. Regardless of it, it looks like you'll be able to explore and collect some items that perhaps aren't available to automate under the surface. From these fungi-like plants and the crystals, honestly, I'm quite surprised at the size of the world, and I'm very excited to see how this plays out. And I love the animations that they've given to the creatures to make them feel more alive, like they're digging for grubs and just going about their daily business, at least until triggered by us walking into their nests. Now, some of the rare minerals that will be deposited by meteors throughout the game will have to be harvested by hand. And it looks like when we're harvesting them, rather than just blasting the whole meteorite, we're going to have to focus on the little mineral deposits within the little craters of the meteor. Otherwise, the whole meteorite disintegrates, presumably losing those valuable minerals, similar to how it's done in Lost Skies. But so far, I have to say that I've loved the little showcase that they've given us, and I would love to have some solid, less cinematic gameplay shown off in the not so distant future prior to its early access release. And with a bit of luck, I'll be playing this game with some friends. But until then, do let me know what you're most excited for in the comments below. And remember to check the other video that I have on this here now. Special thanks as always goes to Firefless, The Calamity, Ben, Star and Seeker Kala, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Papa Snoozy. But until next time, as always, ciao for now.